Welcome back to Grammar Grade 10. This is Unit 7, Lesson 55, and it is the lesson that closes the unit. We have spent this unit choosing the right pronoun, the right case, who or whom, the right match with an antecedent. Today, we ask something simpler and, honestly, more important. When a reader meets your pronoun, can they tell instantly what it stands for? Let's find out. Let's set the foundation. Every pronoun is a stand-in, a short word that borrows its meaning from a noun that came earlier. That noun is called the antecedent, and the pronoun has exactly one job, to point straight at it. Listen to a sentence that gets it right. Nadia grabbed her helmet and rode off. There is only one person on that page, so the word her can only mean Nadia. No hesitation, no second glance, no guessing at all. That is clear pronoun reference. But the instant a reader has to stop and wonder who or what a pronoun stands for, the sentence has failed, no matter how natural it sounded in your head. So here is the rule for today, and everything else in this lesson follows from it. If the reader has to guess, rewrite. Fault number 1 is ambiguous reference. Ambiguous means the pronoun could point at two different nouns, and nothing in the sentence tells you which one is meant. Listen. When Maya met Priya, she was nervous. Now stop right there. Who was nervous? Maybe Maya was nervous, and meeting Priya rattled her. Or maybe Priya was the nervous one. Both names sit in front of that pronoun, and both are perfectly good candidates. The sentence never chooses, so the reader has to guess. And a reader who has to guess is a reader you have already lost. The cure is simple. Either name the person outright, or recast the sentence so the pronoun has only one place to land. Watch this. Maya was nervous when she met Priya. Now the pronoun comes after Maya, and there is nobody else it could possibly mean. Fault number 2 is vague reference. And this one is sneakier, because the sentence often sounds perfectly fine out loud. It happens when this, that, which, or it points at a whole idea instead of a noun. Listen. The bus broke down, which ruined the morning. Ask the hard question. What exactly did the ruining? Not the bus. The bus is still sitting there at the curb. What ruined the morning was the fact that the bus broke down, and that fact is nowhere on the page as a noun. The word which is grabbing at a whole idea, and an idea is not an antecedent. The cure is always the same. Supply the noun. The bus broke down, a delay that ruined the morning. Now the word that has something solid to hold on to, the noun, delay. So whenever you catch yourself writing which or this right after a comma, stop and ask whether a real noun is standing behind it. If there isn't, put one there. There is a second flavor of vague reference, and it is one of the most common habits in everyday speech. The empty they and the empty it. Listen to this one. They say it will rain tonight. Who exactly is they? Say it out loud and it sounds completely normal. But look at the page. There is no they anywhere in that sentence. The pronoun is standing there with nothing at all behind it. Name the source, and the sentence snaps into focus. The forecast says it will rain tonight. Here is the same problem wearing a different coat. In the article, it says, the vote passed. That little it is doing no work whatsoever. The article is right there in the sentence, so let the article do the talking. The article says, the vote passed. Shorter, clearer, and every word is pulling its weight. Fault number 3 is the boldest of them all. No antecedent anywhere. The pronoun stands in for a word that is simply not in the sentence. Here is my favorite example. Ravi loves sailing, and he keeps it in the harbor. Read that again, slowly. What does the word it stand for? He does not keep sailing in the harbor. You cannot dock an activity. The word it is reaching for boat, and boat is never actually said. The writer thought it, and the reader almost hears it, but it never made it onto the page. So put it there. Ravi loves sailing, and he keeps his boat in the harbor. That is all it took. One real noun, and the sentence holds together. This fault hides well, because the missing noun feels so obvious inside your own head. Read your sentence as a stranger would, and ask whether the noun is truly written down. Let's boil the whole lesson down to one test you can run on any sentence you write. Step 1. Put your finger on the pronoun. Every it, this, that, which, they, he, or she. Step 2. Ask the only question that matters. Exactly which noun does this word replace? Say that noun out loud. Step 3. If you cannot land on one single noun, because there are two candidates, or because the pronoun is pointing at a whole idea, or because the noun was never written down at all, then rewrite. Name the noun, or recast the sentence. One pronoun, one noun, no guessing. That is the difference between writing a reader glides through and writing a reader has to stop and decode. Ready to practice? In this first set, I'll show you a sentence and you name what's happening with the pronoun. Is the reference broken or is it perfectly clear? Pause the video and choose before I reveal each answer. When Leo called Devon, he had already left. Point at the pronoun he and ask which noun it replaces. Leo? Devon? Both names come before it, and nothing in the sentence picks one of them. The reader is left guessing, so this one is ambiguous reference. The rain never stopped, which ruined the picnic. Hunt for the noun that which is replacing. The rain by itself didn't ruin the picnic. What ruined it was the whole situation of endless rain. And no noun on that page names it. The pronoun is grabbing at an idea, so the answer is vague reference. Nadia packed her helmet before she left. Only one person appears in this whole sentence, so her and she can point to nobody but Nadia. Put your finger on each pronoun, ask which noun it replaces, and the answer arrives instantly. This one is clear reference. Now every sentence I give you is broken, and you get two possible rewrites. Only one of them truly repairs the reference. The other just shuffles words around. Pause and choose before I answer. On the news they said the bridge is closed. That word they has nobody standing behind it. No person is named anywhere in the sentence. Adding a comma leaves the empty they exactly where it was, so it fixes nothing. Name the source instead. The news anchor said the bridge is closed. That is the rewrite that works. Nora loves baking, and she sells it at the market. What is that it? She doesn't sell baking. She sells the thing she bakes, and that thing is never named on the page. Swapping it for them changes nothing, because there is still no noun to point at. You have to supply the noun. She sells her bread at the market. So the second option is the correct one. When Priya met Rosa, she was already late. Two names, one pronoun, and no way on earth to tell which woman was late. Adding a word like very does absolutely nothing. The ambiguity is still sitting right there. Recast the sentence so the pronoun has one landing spot. Priya was late when she met Rosa. So the second choice is the one that fixes it. Let's gather it all up because this lesson closes Unit 7. A pronoun must point to one clear noun, and 3 faults break that promise. Ambiguous reference gives the pronoun 2 possible antecedents, so you name the person outright or recast the sentence. Vague reference lets this, that, which, or it grab at a whole idea, and the empty they speaks for nobody at all, so you supply a real noun. And sometimes the noun was never written down anywhere, so you put it on the page. Set that beside everything else in this unit: pronoun case, who and whom, and pronoun antecedent agreement. And you now have the full toolkit for using pronouns correctly. Point at the pronoun, ask which noun it replaces, and if you cannot answer in a single word, rewrite. That is Unit 7 complete. I'll see you in the next one.